The Apollo Phantom isn't just a high-performance scooter, there are plenty of those. It's also a totally new design that includes a number of innovative features. That's because Apollo actually went back to the drawing board and designed the Phantom from scratch based on feedback from their thousands of customers.
Hey everyone, Micah here with Electrek, and today we're reviewing the Apollo Phantom electric scooter. It's got 2 motors, a giant battery, and is a ton of fun. Let's check it out.
The Apollo Phantom is basically the culmination of all of the feedback and experience that Apollo gained from their past electric scooter models, so you will find some hints of those other models, like how we've got a significant lack of plastic here, just like in the Apollo Ghost, where everything that can be metal is metal, and thus the scooter is much more rugged than a lot of flimsier fast scooters. But the true innovations are spread around the scooter. First of all, check out that new display. It's a beautiful new screen that looks much nicer than the typical cheap bolt-on displays you'll find on most high-performance scooters. It also gives you more data, like estimated range remaining, and even lets you know when your turn signals are on, though I will ding it on being a bit dim in bright direct sunlight. At high noon, it can be a bit hard to read. There's also a new throttle with a thumb paddle instead of the typical index finger trigger. This is definitely an improvement. I've always thought it was strange that many scooters have a similar shaped and located lever for both acceleration and braking, so it's great to see these two roles divvied up with this new throttle design. The wider handlebars here are also great for giving you more control and stability while riding, though they make the scooter a bit wide in folded form since the handlebars themselves don't fold in. There's always a trade-off there though, because folding bars aren't as rigid as non-folding bars like these. Now speaking of folding, the upgraded folding mechanism down here on the stem is another part that I love. It's super strong, it gives you no stem wobble, and it even has a manual pin that you have to pull before folding to make it as secure as possible. That's the type of redundancy I want to see in a fast scooter that I'm trusting my life to. No folding while you're riding without pulling out a physical chunk of steel. Now I mentioned fast scooters, and this is definitely one of them. It's listed as a 38 mph scooter in the spec sheet, though I find I can get just shy of 40 mph with a full charge. It's also got 2 strong motors, each rated at 1.2 kilowatts continuous and 1.6 kilowatts of peak power. A little simple math here tells me that's 3,200 watts of combined power, which is why the acceleration is so strong on the Apollo Phantom. And to feed those hungry motors, you've got a big 52 volt and 23.4 amp hour battery with over 1,200 watt hours of capacity. That's enough for around 40 miles of range if you're riding the scooter in a more relaxed fashion, or 25 miles of range when you ride it hard at full power. There's also 2 charge ports, so if you want to pick up an extra charger, you can cut your charging time in half. The deck also gives you plenty of space here with a nice rubberized surface and even an angled footrest. I don't use the footrests so often, I prefer to flat foot my scooters personally, but I know many people like an angled rest for the rear foot on these high-powered scooters, and so that's another nice feature to have here, especially when you've got such powerful acceleration. It just gives you another spot to brace against. Under the deck, you'll find the quad spring suspension. There are 2 shocks on each swing arm, giving you better suspension response and better damping. Plus, there are bump stops, so that you don't feel the bottoming out of the suspension so much if you ever push it to the limit. This isn't really meant for crazy off-roading, but it is more than enough to handle normal nature trails or riding across grassy fields. And it's got 7 inches of ground clearance, so if you do want to get crazy with hopping curbs or riding over roots, you've definitely got the clearance for it. Then there are these 10-inch wheels with 3.25-inch pneumatic tires that pair nicely with that refined suspension to give the scooter an excellent ride, much better than you might even expect considering the small wheels, relative to larger electric ridables like e-bikes, though 10 inches is of course pretty large for the scooter industry. Now pricing varies between the 2 models. There's the mechanical disc brake version like I'm testing here for $1,799 US, or there's the hydraulic disc brake version for an extra $150. Normally I'm a hydraulic brake fan, though I will say that these 160mm mechanical brakes work more than well enough, especially since you've got that regen braking as well. Hydraulic brakes have their advantages, such as reduced maintenance and stronger one-finger braking, but you can't go wrong with these mechanicals either. They are more than enough for any rider. All told, I think Apollo did a great job with the Phantom. The lighting is awesome, the wide handlebars feel great, the big deck is roomy, the suspension is wonderful, and the design is top-notch. I can nitpick about little things like I'd like to see added underdeck lighting, and maybe that kickstand could be a little sturdier, but for the most part, Apollo has really knocked it out of the park. I can absolutely appreciate the attention to detail here, and the fact that they really innovated with something new here. Props, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that review of the Apollo Phantom electric scooter. If you did, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of our future electric vehicle videos. We'll see you here next time.